Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in to CodeBlaqueFacts. For anybody who's new, welcome. And if you are returning, also welcome. Thank you. So I saw this video on TikTok and I wanted to talk about this. As you guys can see, it says, "My child will always get the first plate before my spouse." And I've seen these conversations surrounding this particular topic before, and I feel like it would be a really good idea to talk about it. So before we do, let's go ahead and get into the video.
We know better than that. This ain't about who's gonna eat first. This is about respect. You just want to disrespect them. That's it. And that's why you're single, struggling. You can't blame nobody but yourself. So go ahead and get with your bald head girlfriends and y'all talk about how bad men are when y'all just disrespectful. And that's how come we leave. And we still gonna drain these balls. And then Pookie gonna drop another baby in you, and then you're gonna disrespect them, and then he gonna take off, and then you're gonna be done sealed your singleness. You done sealed it. But your disrespect pretty much is gonna keep you single anyway.
Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about 4 things. Okay, so one of those things being, the different reasons why men and women leave, right? I want to add some context to that. Another thing I want to talk about is, the traditional mindset, right? Because, fixing a man's plate before the child, that's like a traditional type of thing. And it's not to say because it's traditional that people don't do it anymore. But if you're not dating a traditional woman, or you're not, pursuing a traditional woman, then I don't think you should expect to train somebody that, is probably not even willing to be trained, whatever. So I'll get into that. The next thing is also picking and choosing from traditionalism when it benefits you. I want to talk about that. And then how flip-flopping can be confusing for both people, both the man and the woman. I want to talk about that. And then I also want to talk about the mindset of Pookie in the Ray Rays and, those mindsets. Because I think there's a big there's a big notion that a Pookie is a hood dude or a ghetto dude or something like that, when a Pookie, it can also be a mindset, because there are a lot of guys that do have the mindset of a Pookie because maybe where they came from, who they were raised by, the area that they grew up in, the things that they never learned or were exposed to, which creates a mindset. Which is why, you can have people, I can name several people who have a whole bunch of money, but that money still did not, give them manners. It did not give them etiquette, because it's a mindset. Poverty is a mindset. So I want to talk about that. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing that he said was that, he saw the video and he's like, oh, it's not about who eats first. It's about disrespecting the man. And this is the thing, he has a really good point, because I do think that there are some who do things to disrespect their men. And I think that there are many times it's unknowingly, and there are other times where it is knowingly. And so I honestly don't think it makes no sense for a woman to go out of her way to intentionally disrespect the man, unless there has been something that has been done within that relationship where she has lost respect, or the man has lost respect. This is why we can see people go into relationships, on the up and up. Everything seems good. Everything is looking good. And then the disrespect, begins to happen because, as the relationship goes, one or both starts to lose respect for each other. And so I think a lot of people don't talk about how the disrespect starts, right? And so how the disrespect, once it starts, if it goes unchecked, then it will continue. Disrespect does not, people don't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to just intentionally go out of my way to disrespect this person. I think that little things are done consciously and subconsciously, where it may be disrespectful, but because it goes unchecked, it continues to happen, and then it continues to grow and jump to other things. And so if you are with a woman whom is not fixing your plate, and that's something that you want and you desire out of that relationship, and let's say you're with this woman for 2 years, let's say you sleeping with this woman raw to the point where you are potentially putting both of you guys in a situation where she could get pregnant, then that's on you. Because if she wasn't fixing your plate the first 6 months or the first year or the second year, then 9 times out of 10, she not going to fix your plate. And if that's not the woman that you want to be with and be responsible for, if you were to get her pregnant, then you might not need to, go into it under the notion that she going to be fixing your plate or that she's going to be that traditional mindset type of woman. And that goes for both people. Like I that's a whole nother story. So let's move on to the next thing. He also mentioned the struggling and single. And this is the thing. When it comes to a Pookie and a Ray Ray, you can get a Pookie and a Ray Ray. A Pookie and a Ray Ray can always be got. Believe me. Pookies and Ray Rays come a dime a dozen. So technically, if she's choosing from the Pookies and Ray Rays, because there's a lot of Pookies and Ray Rays, if she's choosing from the Pookies and Ray Rays, 9 times out of 10, she will never be single. There's always going to be a Pookie and a Ray Ray looking to lay his head down somewhere, sleep on somebody's couch, eat up somebody's food. So I think what should have been said was she's going to stay single and, possibly lonely if, she doesn't want the Pookies and the Ray Rays. And let's say she wants, a man that's not Pookie and Ray Ray or Pookie and Ray Ray mindset it, then okay, that would be to me that would be more in the context of reality. Because Pookie and Ray Ray you can go to the worst of worst areas in any town and you will always see a Pookie and a Ray Ray, and I guarantee you that Pookie and Ray Ray, he got him a woman. Okay, he got him a woman. You can go to the crazier parts, and you may even have to go to the crazy parts. It could just be anywhere. A Pookie and Ray Ray is not hard to get, so that's a misnomer, and it's comedic to me because it's like, he putting it like a Pookie and a Ray Ray is hard to get. A Pookie and Ray Ray ain't hard to get. They come a dime a dozen. You can get you a Pookie and a Ray Ray. Now, if you want a man that is not Pookie and Ray Ray, he is a traditional man. He's going to be the type of man that's going to, make sure the bills are paid. He's going to love you, respect you, honor you, cherish you, marry you, all of that kind of stuff. Then, okay, that's a whole different story. Okay, so let's get into these 4 points that I wanted to mention. And I'm going to be really quick because I don't want this video to be long. But one of the points was, this is the thing. When it comes to a man or a woman leaving, men and women leave because they think that they have something better. They have more options or better options. A lot of times people will stick with what they know, what they're comfortable with, what they have become to, be part of their routine. And then once they come up on something that they think is better or a better situation or a better option, then that's when they leave. Now, as he put it in this video, the disrespect, absolutely. If you're being disrespectful to your spouse, then yeah, he'll be with you, he'll sleep with you, he'll do the routine or whatever. And then of course, once he come across somebody that he thinks is a better option, then yeah, he will leave. But both men and women do that, and in this particular video, as it relates to making the plate, I just think that because on the thing it says my child will always get the first plate before my spouse. And usually when people use the word spouse, she didn't say her boyfriend. She didn't even say her man. She said her spouse. So I take it that she's married, which would tell me that if she is married, and this is an if because I don't know this woman. This was literally a random TikTok that I saw. But if she is married, 9 times out of 10, this man married her in spite of, which means he married her because he probably doesn't care or put much emphasis on whether or not she's fixing his plate, right? Again, I'm just saying if she's married. Now, let's say she's not married. Then again, if she's not married and she's with a dude, a lot of times dudes are not going to just stick around and marry you and then leave you because one day they decided that they want you to start making a plate and you just don't make their plate. That's not how that goes. 9 times out of 10, you can always tell when somebody is, if fixing the plate is a big deal. You can tell at the very beginning because they're probably going to say something or they're going to mention it or you guys are going to have a conversation. Another thing too is when it comes to the whole fixing the plate thing. Now, I come from a household where that's, what is done in my household, and it's from the perspective of like a Christian perspective. I come from a Christian household. My entire family are Christians. And so, growing up, that's what my mother did. All the women in my family do well. I'll say 99% of the women in my family. Some of the younger girls that are married, they may not do that in the family. And I can only think of a few women who are younger. But, that's something that everybody does. But that's because I come from a family where there's a lot of traditional type roles in my family. And that's kind of how I grew up. But you got to realize things are different. You got a lot of women who are not traditional. They're not traditional minded. You got a lot of men who are not traditional. Neither are they traditional minded. And this goes into the whole thing where it's like, I just think that it's giving Megan Good and whatever. What was her husband? I can't think of it. It's given that. Because it's like you can't get with a woman, wine and dine her for 2 years, ask her to marry you, and then 10 years into relationship, now you mad because she not, like, no. If you get with a woman or a man and you can't get with them and then expect for them to change or think that you're going to mold them into something. So with this whole traditional thing, if you're with a woman and she's not traditional from out the gate, then 9 times out of 10, I said 9 times out of 10, not 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, she's not going to all of a sudden wake up one day and become traditional. So you got to know what you want. You got to know what you're looking for. Don't get caught up with a woman or a man because, you think you can change them. And that's like why there's so many relationship issues, because people get in relationships, get in marriages, get in situationships where they think that they're getting with someone and that they're going to be able to change this person, they're going to be able to help mold this person, help fix this person up. No, don't get me wrong. If you get with somebody and they have potential and there's little things that maybe you can expose them to and see how they take that or whatever, then fine. Because nobody's going to know everything. There's no relationship is going to be perfect. No person is going to be perfect. And there are situations where you have to be in that relationship to learn things from each other and about each other and to grow together. And you have to make room for that. But, if personally speaking, and from what I've seen, and remember, I come from the background of, therapy, counseling. So I actually have the experience where I've counseled family, married couples. So I do have this experience. And what I find is that when you got people going into a relationship and one person is thinking that they're going to change this person or this person is going to start doing better, you'll be in that marriage relationship 10, 20 years and the person has never changed. So if you meet somebody and it's just not in them to make your plate, they don't have that traditional mindset, you're going to have to leave that person alone. And then you know what I'm saying? Like no. So let's move to the next thing. Oh, the whole thing about picking and choosing when to be traditional. That's a pet peeve of mine, because what I find is that, we can be traditional over here when it comes to you fixing my plate and cleaning the house and doing this. But when it comes to me being traditional, providing, protecting, making sure all the bills is paid, Now it's, oh, well, we ain't gonna do the traditional thing. We just gonna, no, we can't pick and choose, because that's gonna cause confusion in the relationship. So, again, you gotta find what works for you. I know what works for me, but people gotta find what works for them. So, getting with somebody who is traditional when it works for them, or only when it works for them, or only when it benefits them. And, when it comes to you and being traditional, when it comes to you, like, opening your, the car door, when they come to your home to pick you up, or they actually coming to your door, or they, is the protection there, do they always speak to you in a respectful tone, do they pay the bills on time? All of that is traditional. Now, what I do see is, I do see a lot of people who, like, there are people who will be like, like women, there are women who will want a traditional man, but they themselves are not traditional in certain areas. And so, that causes a problem. And again, it's about what works for you. You got to know and pick and choose what works for you. Okay, so lastly, when it comes to the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the Walla Melanicias, okay, if you're a guy, the Walla Melanicias, okay, when it comes to them getting knocked up by a Pookie and a Ray Ray, or knocking up a Walla Melanesia, it's about, repeating that cycle, right? So if you did that, that was something that you did when you were younger, maybe you didn't put much thought into it, but now that you're older, you want to choose better, you want to, get what you think is a better situation for you, then the plan should be to not continue the cycle, to not repeat the cycle. Because I think that's what a lot of people do. They repeat the cycle, and you have to break the cycle. So, breaking the cycle could be, focusing on you, getting yourself together, getting your finances together, and then going out and choosing the best option for you. That goes for both men and women, because there are a lot of people, men and women, who, their first time out, maybe they were married, but the marriage didn't work out. Now they're single. Or maybe they were never married. They got with a man or a woman, ended up getting somebody pregnant or getting pregnant, but they don't want to repeat that. And I see that's just what people do. People keep repeating those same cycles. So if that happens, that's on you. You got to eat that. But then the plan should be not to repeat the same cycle. So that means you're not going back into it choosing a Pookie or a Ray Ray. You're choosing the best situation, best option for you. Moral of the story, and at the end of the day, if you are not a traditional minded, traditional man or woman, then don't go out here choosing somebody who is, or vice versa. If you are a traditional man, you are a traditional woman, then don't go out here choosing someone who's not, and then expect, 3, 4, 5 years after you didn't got pregnant or you didn't knock somebody up, that this person, now you want this person to be traditional. That's just not how it works. You got to choose that from the beginning. And so that basically means just choose who and what works for you. It's just that simple. And on that note, I'm out. I thank you guys for listening. If you're new, I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. Like, what do you guys think? Is it, are you traditional? Like, do you believe the woman should make the man's plate? Or is that something that should only be done in marriage only? Or should it be done after, like, the relationship is like concrete, and you're in love? Like, what do you think? Or should it be done right out the gate, like as soon as you guys make the decision to be together? Do you start making his play, or do you even do that for him, or is it for you? Like, what are you guys' thoughts? What are your comments? Leave them in the comment section below. Bye.